Hey friends. Okay, as part of this Django View Unleashed series, we are exploring in depth of the Django views and the functionality. And last two part we saw about the argument passing and the URL pattern gathering to the views. Also, we saw how to render the data using Ajax, and also we saw whether the request is Ajax or not. If it's Ajax, then we can render the response in a JSON format. If not, render in different format. It just makes sure the quality of the code to understand what we are really getting as a request. Okay, so before jump into the rendering or shortcut of the Django views or the generic views or the class-based view, so always the file handling is an important concept in the view logic. So we can handle the file logic though in models or forms, but eventually we have to get that files and do some logic in the view. That is the only place we can handle it, right? Of course, you can do using the pre-sig signals, but usually before processing the data into the database, uh, the place where you can control the stuff, which is our views, right? So before going to the generic or class-based views, I thought to uh, do the videos for the file. Maybe you guys saw many videos on this. It's pretty much same, but I just want to cover a little bit more about the inbuilt of the file handling process in Django. Okay, without delay, let's jump on. So this is the same project which we created in the part one. So I'm going to use the same project. So project name is Techie and my app name is tutorial, and I have a URL called index, which is pointing to my app. And then I created the simple view, say index. Now I want to handle the files, right? So Django has a detail level documents on this URL, so you can refer this URL for explore more about file uploads. Also, we created the simple blog for this tutorial or for this video purpose. Okay, so now let's create the form. I don't want to talk about the models form. Rather, I want to just show you the form handling, the file process uploading in the views logic. So I'm going to stick with the forms itself rather than using the file field in models.py. Okay, I already created forms.py, and this is a simple I imported from forms, and this is a class, the class name we inherited from this object called forms.form, and I created two simple straightforward column called title. This is going to be my label in my HTML. We're going to see in a moment, and I given as a char field and max length of 50 characters, and file, the other field name called file, and this is called file field. So by default, if you provide the file field in the forms.py, the rendering itself in HTML that will consider as a file input rather than as a normal input. We'll see in a moment. So let's move on to views. I have already imported my form here. So let's create a post and post method and form equal to, I already have the code below here. I just commented so I can paste it here. Order file form request. I will explain the code in just a moment. And then say print uploaded else you can say form equal to, so create an empty form and then render the return render request and then tutorial /upload. I already created this upload.html. This is that just bootstrap HTML. Doesn't have any other logic here. We can get rid of this before I can show you that. And form equal to form. So basically we are passing the context to this template. Okay, let's run this. Invalid syntax. Okay, it's not dot, it's comma. Okay. So this is our URL, right? So if you go to our URL pattern, this is the path I provided. Or can remove this index. Just get rid of this /index. Should be seen. Okay, cool. Now we have a just simple view logic here. Since why I added a post is anyway we're gonna send the request to the form. It should be when you submit the request is always going to be a post. So that's why I was given as a post method for handling that. Okay, so we already saw how to create a form. Form. Just create a tag like this, and here the form. Right? If I refresh, I should see, because this form is rendering from this context template. Okay, so now I have the title and the upload option. The reason for uploading the file is because we given as a file field here. Cool. Okay, so I should have processed the type submit. So have submit, so it should create some button. Okay, now this is going to be a post. So it's post action. It's what is the endpoint we have to send the request. So for this, I'm going to the same option. I mean the same URL. I want to send the request. So type something, choose the file. Let's see, pick the key or channel name, submit. Wow. So this is, we already know, right? What is, we have to provide the CSR of the token for security, CSRF token, refresh. Now choose file, the key, submit. What? The index didn't return any HTTP response. Yes, that's true, because we don't have after the, so the post request is submitted to this method, the if class, and you can see uploaded here, but doesn't Django doesn't know what is my next step to go forward, right? So so can return the HTTP response redirect, so which will send the request, forward the request back to the given URL. In our case, it's going to be a same slash URL. So it's going to be a same home page. If I click, choose file, the key, submit, it should go to same page. Cool, right? Okay, but I want to read the file. I want to know what is the file name or file size. Just before processing the data, I want to know what is my data, what is the user is uploading the data, right? So one of the option is request.post, right? Let's see what is that in the request.post. Refresh once again, choose file, submit. So it returns the query dictionary, query set, that's cool, and it has a CSRF token and title, that's we have given that some random character here. What else? Other the file called the uploader file, right? So what is this file, from where this file is coming, right? Of course, this file name is rendering from this form, right? So in order to get the file, let's see whether we have an option called file. Because it's in a dictionary, right? Query set. Let's try to grab that file name. Submit. That's cool, right? So we are able to grab the file name using the post request, but we want to make sure whether this form is valid or not, right? So let's say if form is valid, then print yes, it's valid, and then return the HTTP redirect. So as of now, what we did is we grab the data from the form, and we're trying to see what is there in the file name, but we just want to know whether are we going to really gonna write the data or it's a valid form, right? That's why this inbuilt form method available in Django to make sure it's valid or not. Let's refresh, some title. Wow, what you're seeing, uploaded, yes, but it's not valid because this is not a right way to handle the file. So but you can get the file name here but why I'm not able to grab the file? Why it is not valid, right? That is because by default, all the file processing upload from HTML to Django views that will land the data, record data as a key value dictionary in a request.file objects, just like this post. So we have to uh, include this methods and object to grab the file to make sure the form is valid. Okay, let's add that. Refresh. Still thinking. Okay, refreshed. Let me try now. Submit. Still it is not a valid. Why? So, hey, you mentioned uh, the file has to be in the requested file, and we added the requested file here, but still why we are not able to render the data or get the data, or why it's not, the form is not valid yet? That is because by default the file upload should be in this format when you upload the data. So this is the header information it will be passing to that request file method to to uh, to say, hey, I am a file, so you have to process the file on this class rather than regular requested post method. So what I do is we have to add this line in our form here. Add this, and now refresh. Shows the file now. Key, submit. Out seeing multi-value dictionary error. That is because why the way we are handling the post file here. Let's comment this line, refresh, copy the path, submit. Wow, it's valid because now this file is no longer exist in that post method. If I get rid of this file, if I refresh again, come on, refresh again, save this, choose the file, submit. Pressing, there is no more file in a dictionary, right? Cool. So what else we can do in a form? All right, this is the handling as a form. You can write the data in your local, right, or in your path. So let's say after I'm just gonna read the file. Sorry, to file, and oops, this is a file name because the this is the way we can get that file itself, and then I can write this, or I can save this file in my directory or in or any of your output directory. Let's say you are running this project in Linux, so you can write a method instead of saving all the files in a local, you can move the object in different machine, different server. So those logic and all you can handle using the form file method. But as of now, we are in the same local folder, local project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that file, or when I say write, I'm going to save this file into my local project directory itself. So with open, and I want to write the path here. So I can say import OS, and from Django dot conf, I believe, import settings. Okay, here and then with open, you can simply copy that OS path join directory. I'm going to write my this is from settings. Write the file name as, let's say, test file.jpg, and then wpf, and then for, and you can, there is various option to write the file. Okay, why I want to go this approach is, let's say your users is uploading very huge or large files, right? You don't want to upload, you don't want to write just like that, or read the data, read the file just like that, and write that into disk just like that. Rather than you have to handle such a way, chunk the file, and write the data into a disk, so that it will be much easier and much faster, right? So what I'm going to do is here, not here, you can pick it from here. So basically, if you see, there is a method called chunks. Chunks is upload file method available in this class, or available in these objects. So we'll see more in detail now, but I just want to show you the reference in the file upload document in the Django directory itself, so that you can refer later in case if you guys anything needed. Okay, for chunk in file dot chunks, and I can destination, right, or I can say yes, f right. Okay, so what I'm saying is, hey, this method, right, this is nothing but it's object, upload file object. So that's where they're referring, upload file object. So this upload file object has a method called chunks. Also, it has a method called multiple chunks, and you can get the reference here. Here, multiple chunks, read. So all this method is available for this upload file object. So I want to read the file and write in a chunk mode. And I say chunk mode, by default it's 64 kilobyte, I believe. It should be 64, I guess. Um, should be 64 kilobytes somewhere. Okay. But anyway, you guys refer this document with for more detail. But I believe 64 kilobyte, 64 byte. Okay. So read that file and write the file into my directory in a chunking mode, so that we don't want to utilize all the memory or all the CPU just for writing this data, right? Because just think about your production server. If you have 100 users currently uploading the files manually or parallelly, uh, think about this. Without writing chunk file, those very large file will accumulate your entire CPU core and memory, right? So it is always better to chunk the file and process it. So let's see. Write the file, save it. Come on. File, click submit. Wow, no issue. Go back to my local and I see the file. Cool. Right. Okay. But I when I when I was learning Django initially, especially the file upload, I was really confused. So where the uploaded file it's storing for processing, right? Before writing the data, it has to store somewhere and and manipulate then later, right? So uh, then I started thinking. I asked the question myself, and I got the answer is Django has a two inbuilt methods or process or object. One is called in-memory handler, memory file handler, and other one is called uh, temporary file upload handler. Okay, so how can we ensure that is let's take a look this one. Request file, save this. I want to show you guys how cool it is. The backend is working. Submit. I don't want this file name, I believe. Don't want this. Just make sure what type of handler it is. Refresh. Choose. Key. Submit. In-memory upload file. Okay, what is the criteria? So what is the criteria when Django decide whether it is my in-memory file or my temporary file uploader? Okay, this is the logic behind it. If the input file sizes or upload file sizes here, which is less than 2.5 MB, then Django store the upload file in memory. So when I say in memory, in your server RAM or in your local machine RAM memory, it stored the data in memory and process the data and write back to the, in our case, write back to disk. So this is in my local disk. So it read the data from memory. When I upload the data, it it's uploaded in my, or it's loaded into my RAM machine or RAM. And then when I start writing this command, it started reading the data from RAM memory and writing into my local disk. So what if my file is more than 2.5 MB, right? Just get rid of this for a moment. Now, okay, refresh my page, choose file name, view details. Okay, so the previously I uploaded this image, right? This is just an 18 KB, so definitely which is less than 2.5 MB. Now I'm gonna upload 101 MB, right? 102 MB. So just upload this video. Let's see. Submit. Still processing because the file is huge. So I want to know whether it is in memory or something else. Still loading. Yeah. Come on, come on. Interesting. So this is not in memory. So definitely our file is more, right? So super cool. This is how Django will really work on backend. Okay, so why we need this information? Why we have to upload this? Why Django has this? Think about your server response, right? If you're uploading very huge file, first of all, it will occupy all data in memory. Then you don't may not have a, a memory. You may end up with a memory shortage for processing other stuff. Just for uploading a file, we should not use that, right? So definitely we we should consider writing into some temp file, temp directory, and then it has to read from there. So by default, this will write create this temporary file in my local directory under my user, C user, my username slash whatever it is. In Unix, it's under slash temp directory. So, so this is how the overall logic will work here. So, okay, now the question is, in some situation, let's think if you have a some huge machines, maybe 1.5 terabyte RAM, 2 terabyte RAM machine. Why should I waste my RAM? I want to upload more data in memory rather storing data in disk. Is there any option to override this? Yes, Django always is an super cool framework. So you can override that option using you should have the readme document here, using this command. So file upload max memory size equal to by default it's in byte, so you can so if I provide this like 157 MB, I believe. Just save this. Now refresh your page and choose the file 103 MB again, submit. Let's see this time. Come on, still thinking. Hmm, cool, right? So now this time it went to in-memory method. Super cool. So this is how um, actually the multiple the various logic behind how to upload the data when you handle it. In some situation, if you guys maybe I'm not sure whether you guys worked on Hiraku or not, but if you work on Hiraku, if you upload this 105 MB kind of data, you usually get request timeout error. So eventually, what would be the approach we have to handle is instead of sending the request as a logic here, we have to send as a asynchronously upload the data in backend. So that is one of the um, concept I just make sure. Okay, now let's move on to other topic. Okay, this is how to upload multiple files just using forms. So same form name, but here the widget form we have to add this attribute called multiple. So if I add this multiple, let me 1 second. Before that, I just want to stick with old one so that I can show you the difference of what is having data. Choose file. I cannot choose more than one file, right? So that is the difference. So if I change this to this, I mean the attribute with multiple, refresh, choose the file. Now we can choose 3, submit. Let's submit. You can see the 3 files, 1, 2, and 3. Cool. What else I want to cover? One more thing here. This sometimes it would helpful guys to handle the progress. So as of now, we saw the two type of handlers, right? One is the temporary file handler and in-memory upload file handler. So these handler is basically from the out-of-the-box Django from this method called file upload handlers. Just get rid of this. These are the two out of the box by default. If you create a project by default, you don't see this, but it is available in the global settings Django. So these are the two default handler for handling the file upload. But sometimes we may need our custom handler, right? Because we are developers. We didn't want to stick with always with the other code, right? We have sometimes we may need to change the code. So that is where we can create the custom. So custom handlers. So what it is, I'm not going to demonstrate it. Rather, I just want to show you how we can create a simple progress bar. When I say progress bar, when you, let's say, just open my console page, choose file, if I upload some large file, submit, you can see the progress, right? Uploading progress. This is something we can, without just keep on spinning for the users, we can have a simple progress bar button element so that users can see what's going on when they upload the status and upload the files. So that's all about the handler. So what you can do is you can create the folder name and handler file, and you can override this temporary file uploader just like this, and add this progress ID. um, get the just basically we are overwriting the temporary file loader, the default temporary file handler, and get the some progressing information and pass the progressing information to the view and render the data using some JSON, some using some JavaScript. So that you can have a cool progress bar here when you're uploading files. That is a one of the option you can do that when you upload the file in the front end. Okay, I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you like this video, and you guys support me in all the ways, as you know. We'll see you in next video. Bye.